Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, recruiting in yoga pants. So this week we are going to tackle how to read a resume like a hiring manager. You might be wondering, Amy, you're not a hiring manager. What do you know? Well, as it turns out, I know a lot. In all seriousness, I consider this kind of a companion piece to a couple of different videos that I've made for you. So one is how to read a job description like a recruiter. So I will link to that video up above. This is the other side of it, right? And so again, I've shared this before. Hiring managers write job descriptions. They are the ones that ultimately have the final say, and this is what I need. Now, I will consult on that. I will make sure that we are being compliant. I will make sure that our basic qualifications are fair and measurable. I will make sure that we are not injecting any bias if we can avoid it. Like, no, we're not expecting Ivy League schools. No, we're not limiting our candidate pool to people who come from FANG companies. Like, no, we're not doing those things. What you can do is give me some very specific criteria. Years of experience, which is a messy one, I know, but just go with it for now. Experience doing certain things, certain technological skills, certain measurable achievements, those kinds of things. I will take that all day long. So how does this now translate to your resume? So we're reading that job description, we're highlighting those key things, we're making sure that we're able to tell the story that says, yeah, I can do that for you as well. We're also avoiding my hiring manager's biggest complaint. This is based on coming up on 27 years partnering with hiring teams. And I will tell you the one thing that consistently comes up over and over and over again with my hiring teams, even back in the day when we were typing those resumes on a typewriter, they didn't like it then either. This resume is full of a bunch of words that the candidate thought I wanted to see, and I cannot tell what they've actually done. Keyword stuffing. They hate it. Video on that as well. So please check that one out too, if you've not already. So what does this have to do with you, the job seeker, being able to read your own resume through the lens of a hiring manager? Here's what I want you to think about, okay? Take a step back. We're going to play a little game. We're going to pretend that you have to pass some filter. We're going to pretend that an ATS score is a real thing that people pay attention to. Not so much. Maybe sometimes, but I don't think so. We're going to pretend the recruiter's an absolute bloomin' idiot who doesn't know anything about anything. You have to get past all this. Let's pretend that that is true. What happens next? What happens when you've done all the appropriate keyword matching and you've optimized the resume and you've scored 150 points on the whatever scanner thing? Now what? Now the hiring manager's looking at it, right? What do you think they want to see? Do you think, and I'm being completely serious here, do you think a hiring manager cares about your ATS score? Do you think a hiring manager cares that whatever scam site you went to that gave you, the keywords, like my favorite still to this day is me losing points on a keyword scanner because I did not type the word bring on my resume. Please go check out that video if you'd like. I've got screenshots galore. I'll drop a link to the blog post as well. Still mad about that. It's been years. Still mad. Okay. So all the things that we talk about ad nauseum on social media every day, do you think a hiring manager cares? I know they don't. I have never once in 26 years met a hiring manager who said, yeah, it looks like a fit, but what was their ATS score? Those words have never left a manager's mouth. You know what else I've never heard from a hiring manager? I've never heard, yeah, I see that they've got some relevant experience, but I put FEA in the job description, but they put finite element analysis on their resume. That's not a match. These are phrases that would never be uttered by a serious hiring manager ever in any universe. So can we just sit with that for a minute? Can we just recognize that all of the noise that we're making about keywords and optimizations and ATS compliance and scoring and filtering and all the things mean nothing to a hiring leader? And let me tell you one other quick little pro tip. As a recruiter, I care about what the hiring manager cares about. If there's one thing that I hope we can agree on, there is not a recruiter alive who wants to risk their own job because they're not taking the guidance from the hiring team. Not a one, unless they just genuinely hate their job and are trying to get fired. So, before we go too much further, I want to talk a little bit about how we calibrate resumes and profiles and our search criteria. One of the first things many recruiters will do when you get a new search, new manager, we're going to work together to fill this engineering role, whatever, recruiters are going to pull profiles. We're going to hop on LinkedIn or Indeed or some other third-party site. We're going to start doing some searching. We're going to create some Boolean strings. We're going to start pulling some prospects based on what we know of the job description. We're going to go into our database. We're going to do the same thing, try to find some profiles that might fit. If we've had the role posted, we're going to pull some resumes that we think might look good. And we're going to sit down with the manager. And you guessed it, we're going to have them look at those resumes and give us feedback live in the moment. I actually developed a program where I wrote this whole thing out and launched this thing at a couple different companies where we would do sourcing sessions. So we would get all the recruiters together and be like, hey, here's the job description. Here's what we know about the role. Here's what the manager has to say. We would actually invite those managers to the meeting. So, hey, Bob, your role's a top priority. Come talk to our recruiting team. Okay. Bob gets on a call with us, we're sharing our screen, we're showing him resumes. We are literally listening as Bob goes through line by line and points out the things that he likes and doesn't like on a resume. So we do that in a group setting. It's one of the accomplishments I'm most proud of in my career, building that program. We do that one-on-one. We do that in regular syncs when we're newly working with a manager. We are listening to them give us direct in-the-moment feedback while they are reading a resume. And we use that insight to further refine our search, to further refine our filtering when we're looking at resumes that are incoming, applications, people that we're finding, people being referred. We are using the hiring manager feedback to make sure that the folks we are sending them in the future are hopefully pretty sure bets that the manager is going to get excited about talking to. So I'm going to ask you to do something hard. I have talked to many of you over the years. I hear from many of you on social media and various places. You have accomplishments and things that you're super proud of. This is where we get into like page length and like, I don't want to take fourth and fifth pages off of my resume because I'm so proud of the things that I did. I understand that. But do those accomplishments speak to the problem that the manager is trying to solve? That is the lens. I want you to put on your hiring manager glasses, okay? Read that resume, your resume, through the lens of a manager who has a problem to solve. That problem statement is in the job description. Look at the job description. What do I think this person needs to accomplish? Draft a mental persona of what that looks like and make sure that is what is reflected on your resume. This is where your accomplishments comes in. This is where numbers comes in. This is where measurable achievements comes in. This is where how you've used specific tools for certain things comes in. You want the manager who is not a professional recruiter, who does not read resumes for a living, who does this maybe a couple times a year at most. You want them to see without a doubt you are capable of doing the things that they need you to do. That is their single and sole purpose for looking at your resume. Is there enough information here for me to say, yep, this is a good use of my time and my team's time to interview this person? Hiring managers are stretched so thin. This is not their full-time job. They're busy trying to ship a feature or build a widget or whatever they do. This is an extra add-on work, and they're not always happy about it. So how you and I, recruiter, job seeker, can make their lives easier? Write the resume for them. That's what I'm doing. I'm writing my notes for them when I'm getting on the phone with you and I'm asking questions and I'm typing out things and I'm writing up my little summary of why you're great and why the manager should talk to you. I'm doing it through the lens of what the manager wants to see. That is the only resume hack that's going to work. All right, friends. I have so much more. I could make this like a whole marathon series if I wanted to, but I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully I've given you some things to think about. Videos linked up above, blog posts linked down below. Lots of good stuff going to accompany this week's video. But friends, if all else fails and you're just done with recruiters and you're done with ATSs and you're done with optimizing, just put yourself in the hiring manager's shoes. Read your resume as the person with the problem to solve. And be honest. Does your resume speak to the solution to that problem? All right, friends. I hope that helps. See you next week.